Hello and welcome to Hikima Council's Makala podcast channel. Makala, meaning branches, Kasisutu. My name is Bonga Masoka and I'm your host. We hope this podcast finds a way to impact, educate, and inspire your next. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Buzzsprout. Basically everywhere where you find your podcast fix. Every first and last Friday of every month. Hello and welcome to Hikima Council's Makala podcast. I remain your humble host, Bonga Masoka. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're tuning in, it means it's either the first Friday or the last Friday of the month. Thank you for joining us. You're listening to one of the fastest growing entrepreneurial podcasts in the country. I'm not even playing, guys. Check those numbers. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe and you'll see what I'm talking about. You will absolutely see what I'm talking about. We are Hikima Council on all our social media platforms as well. Thank you in advance. Thanks. My guest today, I'm very excited. He didn't paint this wall, but he's responsible for so many good quality, clean finishes of buildings, of houses. If you just want a clean look, this is the guy. I'm going to tell you he's just now. Bonga Masoka. He is the CEO. He says chief executive, but I guess CEO.
Yes.
That's what people know. CEO of Splash Coatings Africa. Welcome, Bonga.
Thank you so much, Shaman. Are you looking for a job, by the way? We're looking for a marketing, sales.
Say less. I'll take it.
You are hired. And you can still continue the podcast.
Thank you so much. Because I don't know if Hikima Council can top it. I don't know, but this is the gig. Bonga,
hi.
Give us the general background behind Bonga. Before you got to making paints, before you started playing around, because I think not like a paint, because I'm not sure how you got here.
Yeah.
Where did you all start for you? Where were you born and raised?
So I was born in Madinyane, a village outside a small town called Brett in Northwest.
Okay.
So we 20 minutes drive from Hartebees.
Okay.
That's what most people would be familiar with. I was born to a single mother, raised by my gran until the age of 8 or 9, moved to Joburg, lived with my mom for a couple of months and then moved in with my aunt in Lanseria. And then I went to Blair Ethel Primary School. It has now been converted to Blair Ethel Golf Estate.
Okay.
So I went to
Golf Estate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Primary school. You know. So the story about it was built. The school was built by Gary Player, one of South Africa's famous golfers.
Yes.
And he built it for his farm workers. But it was the state of the art school. I played golf, violin.
Nice.
Cricket, horse riding in primary school, but it was built for the farm workers. Let's not take away the fact that it was built for the farm workers. So I went to Blair Ethel Primary School, then went to Ikatisong in Lanseria as well, high school, dropped out after grade 9.
Okay.
Went to Central Johannesburg College to study graphic designing and painting.
Okay.
FET College. I think I was 15 at the time.
Okay.
Dropped out, stayed home for like 2 years, went back to high school.
Okay.
To finish my matric.
Yeah.
Finished my matric, applied to UCT, got accepted for political science.
Not political science.
I'm serious. I studied political science.
Okay.
Majored in politics and public policy. Graduated 2014. Came back to Joburg. Invested in a small startup in the mining industry. Was not really successful in that. And then an opportunity came along for us to own paint formulations, and that's how the journey of painting houses into homes started.
No, you have to tell us. You're missing. There are things missing there. How do we get to paint? Political science, lipende.
Yeah.
Help me match those two worlds.
I think it's not necessarily the paint. It's the fact that I think I've always been an entrepreneur.
Okay.
I mean, if you asked whether entrepreneurs are born or made, I would lean more towards they are born. It's a calling. I think that back has always been there. I've always been called to be an entrepreneur, in general sense, you know. But I mean, I started my first enterprise in varsity in first year. It was a social enterprise. And how that came about, it was over an argument with a friend. We were arguing about what is the best process to developing where we come from, disadvantaged backgrounds.
Yes.
And she was studying at the UCT GSB, Graduate School of Business. She was doing social entrepreneurship. And her perspective, or what she saw as a solution towards empowerment, towards developing where we come from. She looked at it through the lenses of social entrepreneurship. So basically go out, start a business, raise profit, use that profit for social good.
Okay.
And I
putting
looked
it back
at
into the
yes.
Gotcha.
And I looked at development through the lenses of policy. As a political science student. So I looked at development through policy that go back, work for government, influence policy that is favorable to the poor. And so I wanted to understand what social entrepreneurship is. And I started my first business, which was a social enterprise. So I sold t-shirts in varsity and used the profit to buy and donate educational toys to ECDs in Kailija. That was my first enterprise.
Okay.
And post that, graduation, come back and investing in the business, in the startup that was in the mining industry. I got offered an opportunity to own paint formulations. And that's how Splash came about. That's how the painting came about.
Okay.
Did my research and found that there's actually a niche. There's a niche in the market that is underserviced or that we could exploit, especially as a young black entrepreneur in the space. And started off as a paint reseller. So I would buy paint from the company that I bought the IP from.
Okay.
And supply the paint, and then later we moved to painting the houses, and then afterwards we build our factory, and then we build the stores, and we are here even on Take a Lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. So you have the IP now, and now you decide that you want to run it yourself.
Yes.
Right? And that's how the business starts.
Yeah.
So talk us through now the service offering that you offer now.
Yeah.
I know how it started, where it started off as just reselling paint.
Yeah.
But talk me through the manufacturing of the paint now, and then just going into painting people's houses.
Yeah.
What was the idea behind that?
So what we realized, what we picked up, I mean, like I said, when I started, it was reselling. So I would buy the paint from the IP holder and then sell it in the market.
Yeah.
But later on, we realized that actually the market is not undersupplied with paint, with good quality paint.
Okay.
As much as we make extremely good quality paint, but there's no undersupply.
Okay.
So what we picked up was that actually what the market needed is painting services, especially for LSM 5 to 10. There's a lot of painting contractors, but there's very few painting specialists.
Yeah.
If you get what I'm trying to say. So a lot of clients would ask, do you know anyone who can do a good painting job? And that's how we ended up diverting into providing the actual service. So we've been providing the service from 2017 up until now. It's actually the core of the business. That's what we are specifically known for. The added advantage is that we apply or we supply the services using our own products.
Okay.
That's how that's how the application or painting services came about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk us through your the people that help you put together this beautiful product, right?
Yeah.
Your staff offering, and what it started as, and then where it is today.
I think if there's one thing that we or I personally can be grateful for is loyal partners in terms of employees.
Yeah.
This company was carried by people who worked for it. You understand running a small business, whether salaries are late or there are no salaries at all.
Yeah.
Those people are the ones that carry the business. So with the painting, I've been painting with the same team from 2017 up until now.
Okay.
With a staff complement of about 22 people.
Okay.
That's the application, the painting
That's
team.
a big team, yeah.
And then the actual paint manufacturing, we built a factory in 2019. It was a garage-sized type of factory. But you know what they say about the garage story, right? That's the story of the garage business, right? Yeah. So we started in a garage as well, and I did the manufacturing myself with the help of my cousin. And I mean, when we started, to get the proper equipment, we needed capital, which we didn't have. So we started off with drilling machines, like normal driller. Okay. So we used the driller to basically turn the paint, to mix the paint. We would mix about 30 liters in 3 hours. That's almost nothing. So we'd mix 30 liters in almost 3 hours. We'd burn 4 drillers in a month. And the cost of a driller was about 1.7.
The maths was not mathing.
Yeah, it was not mathing at all. At all. Yeah. Even in that, you still have to deliver 1 bucket of paint in Soweto for midway. So it was not balancing. And then, that's how we started basically. At the moment, we're making about 400 liters in less than 2 hours. And like I said, we've got stores, distribution points, and we're on Takealot as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first, tell me where your distributions, where you guys are. Yeah. And then maybe just explain to me, I mean, colors, there are many colors. And people now who do DIY or they're mixing all sorts of colors. Yeah. In terms of what they want, the aesthetic that they want to go with in their look. Talk us through how you guys mix your colors and what kind of range you guys have.
Yeah. So with colors, we spent 7 years trying to understand what the market wants. And we looked at what's available in the market and what we could offer. So, for instance, if you look at, we've got 22 colors that are basic. A typical paint company would have about 12. We've got 22. And none of the colors that we have are offered by other painting companies or other paint brands. They're not offered by any other paint brand. So we looked at, we studied this for 7 years, looking at what colors people lean more towards. You know, there's this color is endless, it's lifeless. So we've prioritize those type of colors.
Okay.
We've got your grays with undertones of greens.
Okay.
We have your beiges that have a little bit of green inside or purple. So we've just tried to create colors that the market is not offering. Well, the manufacturers are not offering, but the market wants them.
So we don't have to mix ourselves.
Yeah, so that you don't have, because it's expensive. I mean, one of the first colors that we developed, we call it Splash Dreams, and it's an off-white with a gray undertone.
Okay.
Today, Splash Dreams is still part of the top-selling 5 colors, and it's 7 years old. And you understand that colors are trends, so they come and go.
Yeah.
But I think what we have is endless, in a sense that 14 years later, people are still coming for the same color.
A classic, a golden classic.
It's a golden classic. So we have golden classic colors.
Yeah. Amazing. Let's talk maintenance versus repair. Right?
Okay, yeah.
Where do you think, according to the things that you've assessed so far, on your journey and your clients, right? Where do South Africans fare? Are we the kind of people that maintain really well our painting jobs, or are you finding that you're having to do a lot of work from scratch?
Well, South Africa is generous, broad.
Yeah.
But if you broke it down, and looking at our data, because we arrived at this conclusion based on the data as well. The majority of black people don't maintain. We are more very pissed.
So we wait for things to run down.
We wait for things to run down and then we repair.
Yeah.
And it's costly. So maintenance is basically you see a little bit of paint chipping off on the wall, and you take your paint and you brush it off, right? That's maintenance. It's way cheaper to do that. Repairs is actually waiting for the entire wall to run out, and then the other wall, and then the entire house, and next thing, everything needs to be repainted. But not only repainting, you have to fix before you repaint. So the majority of our clients, what we've realized is that we have a lot of maintenance. We have a lot of repairs before painting, and that's almost 20% of the bill. So if you didn't have repairs, a 10,000 rand job would cost you 8,000 rand to repaint your home, but because of the repairs that we have to factor in, it ends up costing you 10,000 or 12,000 rand. And that's the problem that we've seen on the market. So we try in by all means to educate our clients. Especially previous clients, people that have used our products. We'd reach out to a customer after 3 years that can we come in just to check the status. Today, one of the team went to a house in Copperleaf that we painted 5 years ago, just to look at the status and to us, not even to our surprise, but the paintwork is still good. So they're not even due for maintenance.
So what is the average? What is the average time in which you're supposed to check in on your paint? Is it the 3 years? Is it 3 years?
It depends on the type of paint that you use. You've got paints that are 5 year, they give you 5-year guarantee. Others give you 7 years, others 10 years. But at the end of the day, who wants to stay with the same color for 10 years?
Boring.
To get what I'm saying? So even if I give you a guarantee of 10 years, you'd want to change colors. But on average, you look at about 7 years. I think 7 years is a good lifespan for anything, for a property, regardless of whether the paint is coming off or something. But 7 years is a good time to repaint.
Let's talk about entrepreneurship now. You said you feel like you were born to be an entrepreneur, right? Based on what you thought you knew then and what you know now, how would you describe what is entrepreneurship to you?
What is entrepreneurship? Based on what I knew then and what I know now. Is it
the glamour that you thought it was?
No, actually it's not. It's not. And then I could be wrong. But I think, so this is what I've learned. Entrepreneurship is about service, first and foremost. There's a book that I once read, and I reference this a lot. It's called Business Secrets from the Bible by Rabbi Daniel Lepin. And he says, profit is a reward and a motivation to continue serving. And that's what I live by. Those who get rewarded the most in business are the ones who serve well, are the same ones who serve well. So you serve well, you get rewarded more. But you don't get rewarded profit before service. And it's not just any service. You have to provide excellent service to be rewarded. So entrepreneurship for me, it's service. What I knew then, it was profit. Entrepreneurship was profit. It was you manufacture paint, you manufacture it for 500 rand, you sell it for 1,000 rand, and you make profit. And that was entrepreneurship. Then. Now, entrepreneurship is that you make the paint and you still need to take it to the client and service the client and make sure that the client becomes loyal and that they come back. But to do that, you need to serve proper.
Render a good service.
And the profit will come later, afterwards. And that's what entrepreneurship is to me. I think people who have realized the concept of entrepreneurship to this extent, or who have lived entrepreneurship to this extent, I don't think if you ask them whether the profit was worth it in terms of the sacrifices they've put in, they wouldn't measure the sacrifices, they wouldn't measure the journey based on the profit they've made, but it would be more on the service they've provided. So this is what I mean. And I could be wrong. If you look at what you sacrifice for this journey, or for this purpose, if it's a purpose to you, what you sacrifice and what you earn are not correlating. You sacrifice more, you serve more than making more, if you get what I'm trying to say. And I think the realization is that you're going to serve more than what you make. The profit will come, but it won't be the same as what you've put in. We go through the most. And I think, and I was saying to you that this is a beautiful platform, and you said entrepreneurs have a lot to say.
Yeah.
But that's because this is one of the most difficult journeys you could ever experience. And the difficulties that come with it, I don't think there's any amount of money that can compensate for it. And we don't tell the stories. Or even if we do, it's very difficult for the next person to really understand unless they are in it.
Got you.
Yeah.
You went into a different... I wasn't going to go here yet, but I'm going there. The lessons that you've picked up so far on your journey, right? The story that you've told already tells us a vast history about humble beginnings, to tapping into a world of horse riding, all of the things, but the lessons that you've picked up running a business. I know that there must be many, because I'm sure every day you're learning. But what would you say are the things, specific lessons that you think were key, that you actually, one, you feel like you wish you knew earlier, before you got started, but then now that you're here, this is the lesson that you will never forget and that keeps you going till today?
Lessons that I feel like... What lessons have I picked up? There's
Take
so
your time.
many.
Give me two.
Lessons. I think another... one of the other things that I always say, second to what I told you earlier, entrepreneurship is a journey of faith. It's more about the entrepreneur than anything else. So basically this journey is about curating you as an entrepreneur. And I think most of the lessons that I've picked up are more personal. They're more about my own personal growth and development than anything else.
Than they are about what the service you provide.
Yeah, than they are about the service. You learn to be more patient. You learn to be a little bit patient with yourself as well. Not just with the process, but with yourself. You learn how to serve better, and it even goes as far as at home. You learn to serve better at home. You learn to trust God. I'm a believer. Actually, I think that would be the biggest lesson.
Yeah.
You learn to trust the process. You learn to trust God. But now, what you can do is knock, and the door will be open if it's the right door.
Yeah.
And if it's not the right door, it won't be open. What you shouldn't do is bring the door down.
Yeah.
And that's what we are always told.
Yeah.
No, knock until you break the door. But what I've learned is that the right doors will open. I mean, for instance, now we are the business. Well, I'm part of the enterprise development program offered by Property Point, which is a subsidiary of Growth Point, and it's in partnership with Bestone, formerly known as Invest-Tech Property Fund.
Gotcha.
And I chased, not even chased, but chased, I think is the right word. I chased that opportunity for almost 2 years, just reaching out. And just when I was about to give up, they came back to us and said, listen, we'd like to interview for this program. And what that small experience taught me is that knock as much as you can, but don't break the door.
Yeah.
And when something is meant for you, it will always come to you. And I think most of us entrepreneurs, we go through this process of thinking that once we've identified an opportunity, that opportunity is ours. And we end up going through a lot of emotional turmoils, anxiety, depression, and whatever, just because of those opportunities are not coming at the right time or at the time that we want them to come.
Yeah.
But like I said, this is a journey of self-development, of self-understanding. And one of the things that you will understand is that knock, but don't break the door. And if the opportunity is meant for you, it will come. Just do what you have to do. Wake up and serve. That's the only thing you need to do. Wake up and serve, and try to improve how you serve. Basically, that's it. Wake up, serve, and try to improve how you serve. And everything on a daily basis, and everything else will fall into place. I don't panic anymore. I'm not impatient. I mean, I've been tried and tested. I've went to bed with zeros in my account, and I have to pay salaries the next day, and wake up with just enough money to pay those salaries. You know, and that's what the journey is about. You know, that's what the journey is about, and it's applicable to everyone. It doesn't matter whether if you've read the story of Elon Musk and how he came close to losing SpaceX. He got a call or a message on the last day when the business was supposed to go for liquidation or filing for bankruptcy that he's got a contract with NASA. You know, and this journey is applicable to everyone. It doesn't matter whether you are a multi-billion rand business or you're selling sweets on the side of the road. It's still the same.
The journey is still the journey.
It's still the journey.
100%. Amazing. Okay. Obviously, as a country, we've been through a lot of things. The pandemic being one of them, the unrest being another, the electricity crisis being another. How have you guys managed to? How were you impacted by it all by these?
I did well in the pandemic.
Because people were renovating. We didn't have anything else to do.
I'm sorry for those who lost lives, but can we bring back the pandemic? Can people spend more time at home?
No, you can't say that.
I'm sorry. Can you just realize that our homes need painting? Can you just change?
Tell us more. What was happening?
We did well during the pandemic. So the manufacturing capability for paint can always be repurposed for sanitizers. So we ended up making sanitizers. But I mean, 2 weeks down the line, the sanitizers left, right, and center. So we manufactured. We had a PO for 1,000 liters. We manufactured the 1,000 liters, and then next thing we know, the market is flooded. No one is buying sanitizer anymore because everyone is supplying sanitizer. So we switched back to manufacturing paint, and to our surprise, people were spending a lot of time at home, and I don't know whether it was a form of relieving themselves of the anxiety or just entertainment or just finding something to do, but people started doing a lot of DIY, you know, and with that, I think DIY was some of the first industries that were opened during the lockdown, and we got our permits and we started driving around painting and supplying paint. So we did well during the pandemic. And what else did we face?
Unrest. July unrest.
We're not necessarily impacted by that. I think maybe because of the facility that we're in. But I don't think it hit a lot of Gauteng, and it didn't affect our primary customer base. I mean, our customer base starts from LSM 5 to 10. So they were not affected. We were not affected as well. So the unrest didn't really affect us. Well, it did create a little bit of tension, and I mean, a lot of people talk about market sentiments and whether the market is good to do business. When the market is panicking, people don't spend, and that the ripple down effect of it is that it will affect businesses, and I think that's what we faced. Maybe people were just a little bit holding off, including the recent elections. People were holding off a lot. Uncertainties, we hear a lot about this, market uncertainties. So that affected us as well, not significantly though. The electricity crisis. Electricity crisis hit us hard. One, we had to buy a generator. And not just any generator. Generator with a certain power capability, and that's hella expensive. And then on top of that, there's fuel costs, and we're running 2 machines. And I think on a day we use about 25 to 50 liters. That's a lot for a small business. You know. So I think that affected us. That hit us hard. But yeah, we made it through. Some of the things you don't even know how you make it. But
agility,
exactly. So we made it, and at least now we don't have the same. It's not as bad as it used to. Well, apparently we haven't had load shedding in 3 months. At the factory,
I got a note today that said 100 more than 100 days.
100 days. Well, we've had 1 or 2 at the factory.
Power outage.
It's not load shedding anymore.
Load shedding.
Well, let's take it as it is. So it's not load shedding. It's power outage. Transformers somewhere, you know. But we haven't had hectic load shedding compared to before. And I think these are some of the things that really have negative impact on small businesses. You know. And I'm sure there are a lot of businesses that had to close down because of this, you know. It was unfortunate, but yeah, it is what it is. You know?
It's part of the journey,
It's part of the journey.
Gotcha.
You know?
You're the one that touched on politics, so we're gonna go there. I get all students are politic.
I don't why is it okay? No, it's fine. As long as you're not okay.
I'm going to ask you. We just had our elections now. What are some of the things that you think, in terms of policy, right, that our leaders can look at, specifically towards entrepreneurship, that can help entrepreneurs sort of propel themselves to the next stage, whatever stage that may be?
I think we need to, especially on entrepreneurship. We have a lot of issues, but I think maybe to just put it out there, I think we are a little bit harsh on ourselves. We are maturing as a democracy, and we've achieved more than what other countries have achieved in such a short space of time. And I always say this: what more can you expect from your 30-year-old? You know, our democracy is like a 30-year-old, and the 30-year-old is still trying to figure themselves out. They blowing their salaries on an expensive BMW, living in a nice posh apartment. You know, they're still trying to figure things out. But the most important thing is that they've got the profession. So in terms of policy, entrepreneurship, I think we need to focus on the DTIC, Department of Trade and Industry and Commerce, especially the Black Industrialist Program. I think we need to invest a lot in that. The policy mandate is clear. Implementation, I think we need to do more in the implementation, and we need to stretch it all the way to the NYDA at grassroots level. We shouldn't wait for potential Black industrialists to elevate to the IDC level, where they start requesting or sending applications for 30 million rand funding. We need to look at it from an NYDA level, where a young potential Black industrialist is applying for 20,000 rand funding. I mean, I was funded by NYDA in 2017, 50,000 rand, and look at what 50,000 rand has created. You know, so I think we need to stretch our mandate to create Black industrialists to a grassroots level. I think in terms of policy, that's what we need to do. Small businesses. You know, access to capital, access to market. You know, those are the everyday guys. I think, and most people usually say that South Africa has amazing policies. We just lack in implementation. I think the will in implementation needs to be strengthened. I mean, just my own experience with the NYDA, I went through that entire process. Just for 50,000 rand, I had to wait for almost a year. Do you get what I'm saying? And you ask yourself, how many other small businesses had to give up? And walk out of that, and those are probably
or have their businesses closed down because of the wait.
Because of the wait, you know. And I then moved to GEP and NEF. The waiting period is still the same. You still have to. I mean, how difficult can it be to finance a business compared to financing a vehicle? We finance vehicles and all other, what other people aspire for quicker than what is supposed to benefit the country, which is employment creation and development and all of that. So I think the implementation at a government political level needs to be a little bit strengthened. But in terms of policy in particular, I think we've got good policies. We just need to be intentional and deliberate. So this is what I think. When we get an enterprise that could potentially be an industrialist, because we need that for growth. South Africa needs to industrialize. We need to stop importing from China and start manufacturing locally. When a business such as Splash, which manufactures its own products, enters the government funding program or system, it needs to be picked up at grassroots level, identified as a potential, and a lot of investments needs to be put into such businesses. I mean, if you look at the level that we're employing almost 10 people on a permanent basis and about 22 people on a contract basis. And this is a small business. Imagine what other impact we could have if we focus specifically on such businesses that stands to create more jobs and industrialize the country. We shouldn't treat such businesses as just they came into the system looking for funding and they went out. We should actually prioritize them and give them proper support and access to market and capital whenever they need it.
Help them graduate to the next step, right?
Help them graduate to the next step. I mean, the two biggest brands in South Africa in terms of paint are not South African owned. So it means that all the dividends that are accumulated in South Africa are leaving the country. Then why don't we invest significantly making sure that we grow companies like Splash Coatings Africa to be significant players in the industry and look at other markets in Africa? You know, those are the policy directions that we need to look into.
Okay. I don't know if you'll be able, if you've seen it yet, but there's a study out from Treasury this week actually that speaks about the crisis around the paying of invoices, right? And they're seeing that there's nothing much that's improved there. So the cry that entrepreneurs have always had, whether it's from a government point of view or from private sector, in terms of them, the turnaround time in which they get their invoices paid is still really detrimental to the survival of the businesses. I don't know if you have any experiences of delays and that really put your business under pressure.
Well, I don't do business with the public sector. I haven't done business with the public sector. So
yet.
Okay, yet. Yes, I haven't done business with the government, with the public sector yet. But I hope that I don't get to experience that. And I've had horrible stories of how businesses had to go under because of that, especially for small businesses. Cash flow is very important. You know, if you do work for 1 million rand and you are not even paid a deposit, you had to go and look for capital elsewhere to finance this project. And then 30 days down the line, you're still not paid for it. And you have to wait 2, 3, 4, 5 months to be paid. You can only imagine what that does to the business itself and the livelihoods of the people that work for the business. And I've experienced it a little bit in the private sector. I mean, I remember at some point we had to wait it took almost 5 months for an invoice to be paid. You know? And I think because for us, our major clients are the homeowners, the retail market. We come in, we paint your home, you pay us, and that's it. You know, we don't have a lot of commercial work yet. So that was our first experience with a commercial project, and we had to wait, but at least we managed to resolve the issues around that. And the next project was a little bit better. We were paid a deposit on time, and then immediately after completing the project we were paid. But that is a huge problem in South Africa. I'm not sure if it's global, but it's a huge problem in South Africa, especially in a context where you're dealing with businesses that don't necessarily have the capital, and where most of the entrepreneurs rely on the same capital for their own livelihoods. It's not as if we've got 5,000, 30,000 rand coming in from salaries or something, or from trust funds. So it's a huge issue. And I'm not sure how it's going to be addressed, or if there is willingness to address it.
Hopefully we'll find solutions on this podcast. We're going to bring people with solutions.
I think so.
Let's talk e-commerce and the digitization, right? How have you guys implemented that in terms of just implementing it into your business? And have you seen any kind of growth from it?
I think we have. E-commerce is an interesting space. I think last time the data that was released by Take a Lot, the e-commerce space makes about 5, 7, 10% of the South African commerce space in general. And it's one of the fastest growing industries. I mean, I was surprised when I went back home, when I was back home the other time, and someone said they're waiting for a package from Take a Lot, And this is a rural northwest where you think that one, Take a Lot doesn't reach there, but two, that particular market is not savvy to e-commerce. But if e-commerce is able to reach that market, then it shows the potential of it.
And the reach,
So it's an exciting space. I think so this other time I reached out to one of the hardwares. I won't name them.
Because they're not paying.
But if I name them, people might actually take offense. You know what they said to me when I asked for opportunity to show off my products? He said, my boss and the bosses of the two other big brands play golf together. Therefore, there won't be any space for you anytime soon. Then he said, even if it happened that my boss passes away, there are 50 other people lining up for the same space that you're looking for. Therefore, he was basically saying to me, there's no way you're going to. It's a dead road. And I was having this conversation with the team from Take a Lot that because we had already built our platform we had already established ourselves on the platform, the Take a Lot platform. I didn't take that as a dead road, but it was basically showing me that the future of retailing is going online, because there's many of us that are looking for shelf space. And in all honesty and fairness, there's only so much shelf space you can provide that you can make available to all the other brands that are out there in the market. So e-commerce is basically, it's not discrediting you, or it's not cutting you out on the basis of providing you space. It's allowing you to compete and sell yourself. So you no longer have to deal with the issue of shelf space. You have shelf space. All that you have to do is market yourself. Build a brand, market yourself, and people will have easy access to you. So it has given us access to the country's market instead of just being limited to Gauteng where we have stores. Second, in terms of where most people are buying our brand is Cape Town. We have a lot of customers from Cape Town. Surprisingly, we still have a lot of customers in Gauteng. Gauteng is the best seller. So what we've realized is that someone for Utuli, for instance, it's better for them to go online and buy our paint than to start the car, go to hardware, or go to our store and try to, we've seen a lot of growth in that. Just recently, we've sold more buckets. We sold about 7 buckets to one customer, 20 liters, which has never happened before. So I think we're getting there. It's a beautiful platform, basically. Not that it's a beautiful platform, but I think it's a decentralized platform that will enable a lot of entrepreneurs to find space. And that's equity, basically.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look into the future. Dream with me here, Bonga. Splash Coatings Africa. What's next? Where are we going? Are we tapping into the continent, the African continent? What are we doing?
We are definitely in the continent. We've diversified. We are now starting to introduce kids paint, craft paint.
Okay.
So we have our own crayons and pencils and all of that.
Nice.
Because we're a business that deals with color. We sell color more than anything.
Just a splash.
Yeah, just a splash of color.
It's not
Africa. Necessarily just limited to wall paint. But we are definitely in Africa. We are a little bit early to tell, but we are exploring Europe through the DTIC. So I think there is potential to go even abroad outside the continent, but we are definitely in the continent. And we are in the top 5 in South Africa. Could be number 3.
Come on. The numbers going slow.
1.
Come on.
We have partly franchised the business, where people can buy a franchise in Polokwane, in Guyane. We've invested more in R&D. We've introduced better products. Who knows, maybe a paint that is able to attract light, sun rays, and influence the temperature inside a home. I don't know,
The sky's the limit.
Yeah, the sky's the limit. But we are one of the big companies in South Africa and expanding into the continent, or have expanded into the continent. Yeah.
Watch the space, essentially. That's
Watch
what
the
you
space. Watch the space. Splash Coatings Africa is here to stay.
Lovely.
Yeah.
You just won an award.
Yes.
Million Guardian. Yeah? Top 200 young professionals, young South Africans.
Yes.
Has it sunk in?
I don't know.
You're walking around, you're humble, but actually, you're an award winner.
I don't know. I applied for that award in 2017.
Timing.
And I was rejected.
You said it yourself. God's time.
God's timing, right?
Wait on.
And actually coming to realize I was just too ambitious.
The 2017 was too early.
It was too early. I actually wonder what is it that I said in that application to motivate why I should be considered.
Doesn't matter. They saw it and they believed it. Whatever
They
you
saw
say.
it, they received it.
100%.
I'm not sure if they even came back to me and said we acknowledged receipt of application. But so we just turned 7 as a business. But I'm way older as an entrepreneur, and I think it came. So the biblical meaning of 7 is completion and perfection.
Yeah.
And it came at our 7th year. And I was thinking about it the other time that only God knows when you are perfect and complete, and He will recognize that. And for me, I took it as that, as the recognition that you are complete as an entrepreneur and you've reached the level of perfection. And perfection in a sense of the foundation. You've laid a beautiful foundation.
Yeah.
Splash is a beautiful foundation. Now you can focus on building the elevation. And that's how I took it. That it was a stamp of approval that you have built, you are complete. You've completed the stage of building a foundation for your business. And that's what we need. We need strong foundations as entrepreneurs. Every business is founded on a strong foundation.
Yeah.
And once you are done with that, everything else becomes a little bit more lenient. The toughest years in your journey is building that foundation.
Yeah.
And that's how I took it. I don't know if it has sunk in or not, but I took it as that it was just a stamp of approval there.
I think you've learned the lesson that you were supposed to learn. Full circle things. We love it. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, besides Take a Lot.
Yeah.
Tell the viewers where they can get hold of you.
We've got 2 stores in Soweto and Soshanguve. We are now trying to build another store in the Kyalami, Rivonia, Woodmead area. Once that is established, we'll announce on our social media platforms. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we're in Soweto, Soshanguve, and Take a Lot. I think the best way is to just follow us on social media. We've got very active social media accounts.
Yes.
And all the information is there, and we're very friendly when you reach out to our DMs. Sometimes we give out nice vouchers for paint. So yeah.
Tell us the name of your page.
It's Splash Coatings Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Splash Africa for all platforms. Social Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and we're not on TikTok.
Okay. Splash Africa, that's Africa with a K, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I think, yes, Africa with a K.
Amazing stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, from South Africa to the world.
This.
Bonga. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.